why to do that. Okay. It's being so we now have.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us for this February presentation. If the President, Bob Webster, were here, or Vice President Carl were here, they would probably tell you that they welcome you, and we encourage you to go onto our website if you're not already a member of the Kenton County Historical Society. We would be pleased to have you join. The website tells you the various levels of membership. And as you probably know, most of you know, we try to have a program every month, but with the weather and all that sort of thing interfering, we will probably not have any more programs until next fall. However, and by the way, I'm Arnold Taylor, the program chair, and we're always looking for programs. So if you have a topic of interest, or you know somebody who has a topic of interest, put them in contact with us, and we'd be glad to consider them as a program. Today, we're pleased to have back again Mr. Charles Bogart, who some months ago presented a really great program on railways in Kentucky. And today he's talking a little more close to home. And he is pretty much close to home because he is somebody who was born in Covington, but soon moved to Newport or Fort Thomas. And he was a graduate of Newport Catholic High School. He went to Thomas More now University, where he had a degree in history, and he subsequently obtained a master's degree in planning, after which he served the Commonwealth of Kentucky for some 40 years in the management and purchase of hazardous materials. He married a young lady from Fort Mitchell, and so he is about as northern Kentucky as you can be from spending such an amount of time in Frankfort. So with that, I ask Mr. Bogart to tell us anything more about himself that he would like to, and then launch into his program.
Well, thank you. As you said, I was born in St. Elizabeth in downtown Covington, but quickly realized I was on the wrong side of the Licking River and moved over to Campbell County. Grew up in Newport and Fort Thomas. I still enjoy the northern Kentucky area, but my kids and their grandkids are down in Frankfort, so we've stayed down in Frankfort. What I'm going to talk about is Cincinnati and its inclines, the 5 inclines they had over there. Cincinnati, the city of 7 hills and 5 inclines. Cincinnati operated inclines from 1871 to 1948. And here is coming down the Mount Adams incline with one of the 2 open air scenic tour streetcars that the city of Cincinnati operated. As far as I know, I never rode one of these. At least I can't remember. Crew Tar and the, was it PNC Tar now in the background? These are the 5 inclines. Now, some of you people may use different names for them, but this is the names I grew up knowing. Mount Adams, Mount Auburn, Bellevue, Fairview, and Price Hill. This is a map of Cincinnati. You guys live up there, so you know the topography up there. This is all hills. This is hills. This is hills. This is hills. This is the Little Miami, the Ohio River, Mill Creek, Licking River coming down. So what happened was you get settlement down here, and then this area begins really to industrialize. Uh, you people who are young don't realize how heavily industrialized this was. The smoke and the smog that was down in here. This was steel mills down here. This was all heavy industry down the Mill Creek. There was heavy industry along here. There was heavy industry up through here. So the more elite people quickly want to move up to Price Hill, Mount Auburn's, Walnut Hills, or up to Highlands over here, or Fort Mitchell, which poses problems of how do we get up there? And the solution became inclines. Cincinnati develops 5 of them. This is the Mount Adams, the Mount Auburn, the Bellevue, the Fairview, and the Price Hill. Another view of this, Mount Adams up the Highland House, up the Lookout House, the Bellevue House, and the Price Hill House. The Fairview was developed by the city of Cincinnati, so they didn't have a house up here. And what we're talking about is all the good German Americans over here who are living down the hole and they want to drink their beer and have a good time. So we got these houses up here. Some of you people may take offense to what I'm going to say along the way. I apologize. I am German American Catholic. My family is German American Catholic or German American Reformed Evangelical Protestant. We're all beer drinkers. My wife's family was all Irish Catholic beer drinkers. So Newport had one up here on the top of the hill, beer garden. There were a couple over Lookout House out here in Kenton County, and then you had all these beer gardens on top of the hill up here. Prohibition does a terrible thing to the greater Cincinnati area. World War I with its all Germans are bad, and we start renaming everything in the northern Kentucky, Cincinnati. Okay, I'll back off a little bit. But anyway, here we go, another view of the Cincinnati area. Everything, of course, settles around Fountain Square and Government Square down here. This is the L&N Pennsylvania depot over here. This is Central Depot here, which was used by the Baltimore and Ohio Southern and New York Central. And no, B&O was over here, along with the C&O and the Cincinnati, Hamilton, and Dayton. Anyway, before they put in Union Terminal up here. So just a little sideline. Whoops. Fountain Square. This is the center of Cincinnati. This is the Fountain Square I knew as a kid. This was the beautiful Fountain Square, not the screwed up, ugly Fountain Square that they now built over in Cincinnati, which I'm sorry, I think is the ugliest thing in the world, but you people can disagree with me. The Albee Theater was here. This is the post office here. We're looking east. Roman's department stores in back of me. We're now down at the other way from Government Square, looking back to Fountain Square. This is where all the streetcar lines in Cincinnati came in. And of course, over here is Dixie Terminal, where all the streetcar lines from northern Kentucky came in time. Before Dixie Terminal was built, most of the Kentucky streetcar lines also came up to Fountain Square. So this is where everybody's taken off to get to anywhere in the city. These are our inclines. You notice the Mount Auburn, or Main Street, they call it, with the Lookout House up at the top. Your Price Hill from 74 to 43, it had the Price Hill or the Hill House. The Bellevue, Clifton, Elm Street, Ohio Avenue. See, they got a number of names, 75 to 26, the Bellevue House up at the top. The Mount Adams, it actually was known as the Eden Park line at one time. 76 to 46 with the Highland and Bellevue on top of it. And then the Fairview from 92 to 23, which had nothing up at it. These were all private These were built by private companies. The Fairview was built by the Cincinnati Street Railway Company. So what happens along the way is the Cincinnati Street Railway will buy the Mount Adams, the Bellevue, and the Mount Adams, Mount Auburn, Price Hill, and Mount Adams line. They own the Fairview, but they never buy the Price Hill line. The Price Hill line always remains an independent, privately owned incline. This was a 1932 report on their earnings, passenger freights, total daily average. You see these guys really aren't making much money, but then again, back then, a dollar went way farther than it went today. Mount Adams Incline. I rode this one as a kid. I was born in 1940. Here is the Mount Adams Incline, posed on a modern map going up. The streetcar came out from here, ducked down here, went up here, across here. No, it went over, up here, crossed through here, and out. A drawing of the Mount Adams Incline. Mount Adams, if you don't know, is named for President Adams, who came and opened the observatory that was up top Mount Adams. The observatory has now been moved elsewhere in Cincinnati. See, you can see it was called the Eden Park Railway when it first opened. I may be going to kill you with a number of pictures of this. Erected in 74, remodeled in 79, rebuilt in 1891. The Highland House up at the top of the hill. These were all beer gardens. I grew up in Newport and Fort Thomas in the 1940s and the early 1950s. Every corner in Newport had a saloon on it. They were family gathering places. Wives, husband, kids went in there. We went in and played. Everybody drank beer. They didn't care how old you were. You were sipping beer and having a good time. What destroyed this whole culture in Northern Kentucky was television and air conditioning. With television and air conditioning, you stayed home and you no longer went out and socialized with your neighbor in the local saloon, where there was also slot machines to play. I grew up playing slot machines. Another view of the top of Mount Adams with the beer garden up there. This all gets closed down. I'm going to call you guys the WASP, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants who hate the German Catholics. This is my take on it. You don't have to agree with me. And Ohio passes the blue laws where you can't do stuff on Sunday. You're supposed to be in church, and shut down all this stuff. And of course, your poor working guy works Monday through Saturday. His only day off to come up and go enjoy the beer garden is on Sunday. And these places are now shut down. So all this goes in decline. German culture sort of destroyed. Okay. Interior view of the beer garden up there. Hofbrau House in Newport. Yay. We're up on top of the hill. This is early days because you can see there's only one trolley pole up. May not know that Cincinnati required 2 trolley poles because the good people in Cincinnati knew that if you didn't have 2 trolley poles up, electricity was going to go in the ground and to destroy the telephone lines in the ground. Never caused any problems in Newport, Covington, and other places, but in Cincinnati, apparently it did. By the way, this is a old cable car here, which has been pulled up and is now being taken over by the streetcar over to the Art Museum. Another view of the streetcar. This is in the early days. And you can see it says Mount Adams Incline Plane, the Highland House. Another view, Fountain Square to Eden Park. Mount Adams, Eden Park, Incline Railroad from Fountain Square. Oh, this is interesting. You can see they got the two poles up. Cincinnati's made them put the two poles up. They had streetcars that were United States mail cars, and they ran around to the various suburbs in Cincinnati gathering the mail, taking them down to Government Square where the big post office building was. Still is there, but not much of a post office there anymore. And if you are a stamp collector, they did cancel the mail on board these things, and you will sometimes find the cancelization Cincinnati Street RPO. So you know it was canceled on board one of the streetcars. Okay, we're looking down the incline plane from the top of the hill at Mount Adams into downtown Cincinnati. My dad worked here. He worked for Cincinnati Typesetting. If you go to Union Terminal to the Cincinnati History Center and you see that linotype machine in there, that was my dad's linotype machine. Double plane. This one's coming uphill. That one's going downhill. We're going to be just looking at a number of views of the inclined plane. You may get tired of them. I'm sorry. This is all tenement house up there. If you guys had been around in the 1950s, you could have bought any house up on Mount Adams for $1 or $1.50. Now, what is about $1.5 million to buy something up there? Some more views. We're just going to look at some general views of that. I need to mention that at one point, the Erie-Miami Canal ran down through here. And then there was a railroad line that came down from where Jack's Casino was. That was the Cincinnati, Hamilton, and Dayton Yard up there, if I remember correctly. Track came down this and tied into the Pennsylvania Oasis Yard down here, which the L&N and the Pennsylvania used. Another view of the incline. Rookwood Pottery up here, and Holy Cross Seminary up here. Another view. We're just going to see, by the way, these postcards were all hand-colored in Germany. The colors bear no relationship to the actual colors of what were there. If you are a modeler and you are trying to match the colors on the postcard to your model, you're wasting your time because they have no content to reality. You can see this coming downhill. This will sink all the way down, so the plane here is level with the street. My grandma Bogart and grandma Nobby were both from this area. Grandma Bogart later moved over to this Sycamore area when she got married, and Grandma Nobby moved to Newport. You can see the canal down here. The canal will get filled in very early, and the basin will be up where Jack's Casino is. Another just larger view of the area. Immaculate Conception Church over here. Ohio Valley Industrial Exposition was in Cincinnati in August and September 1910. Another view of the plane. I've always wondered, I guess you had to keep your blinds closed here. Hope I don't bore you with these pictures. I just find them fascinating. You can see we got a slight walkway going up here for the maintenance guys to get up and down. Beautiful snow picture of the plane. You can see the cables here for lowering and raising the cars. We're at the bottom again. I know it's a bad view. One of the Cincinnati curbside cars. Cincinnati Car Company which built streetcars out by Chester Park, came up with this concept. And you notice there's a slight curve in the side of the car. They were able to use thinner metal because this curve here added strength to the car. It's one of the technical marvels of the day. And you're going to see almost all the streetcars from the 40s on are going to be a lighter weight car with a curve to it. I know I'm getting on the side. Our double trolley poles here. Yes, this is what I remember. And I'm only 6 or 7 years old. My grandmother, Nobby, we lived on Oak Street in Newport at that time. And we would walk down to, from Oak Street down 7th Street to Washington, catch the number 11 Fort Thomas car to Dixie Terminal, walk up to Fountain Square or Government Square. I think it's the 49 car, up to Eden Park, the art museum, where she would meet her two sisters, Aunt Emma and Aunt Flo. Aunt Emma lived down in Oakley, and Aunt Flo lived up over near the zoo. And Grandma would let me out, and I would get out here and just stand out here. So 6 and 7-year-old, fascinated by this going up and down the hill. Only for a year did this, about once a month. Another view, yeah, it's 49 car going up. Another view. Okay, I got too many of these views maybe, but I'm sorry. Bad view. But I hope you're enjoying. Here's the L&N Bridge coming over. This is the track that turned, bringing the L&N coming through Covington, across the Licking River, up through Wilder, up there, down Saratoga, swinging down here. And this was the Pensy L&N passenger station and freight depot down here, Oasis Yard down here. I always said this was a 90-degree turn. It wasn't quite that bad, but it was really a sharp turn, and the trains had to go very slowly, dropping down there into that yard. There used to be track that ran across the river here, all the way down to Riverfront Yard, the New York Central Yard, the Baltimore and Ohio Yard, the C&O Yard, and I forget who else had a Southern Yard down here. And then this is all now Guest Street Yard and Queensgate. Yeah, getting off my subject. Yes, there were steps coming up here. No, I never walked up these steps, but I did walk up some of the steps over on Mount Auburn. Another view, one of the curbside cars. Okay, this shows you coming into the upper station. We will look at this control station in a little bit. There's the cables pulling it up. A view of the side of the incline plane that you are riding on. A close-up of the wheels. Notice their friction bearings. And I can vaguely remember them coming out and lifting these up and putting oil in this, because these are not roller bearings. You got to keep putting oil in here to keep them from running hot. A drawing of the incline plane. Yes, they had some lights along here. Here's your thick and your level there. We are up at the top. We're looking out. It's not quite up. You can see it's down a little bit from it. The double wires up here. This is a view. We've turned around and now looking back in. This is the control station for controlling the cables. Okay, we've come down 8th Street. We've cut across here. Now the track doubles. This is the incline plane going up. Here's the incline house. It comes out, it goes back to single track for just about 50 feet, splits out to double track again. And then we had this siding track that came back that brought the coal in to the power station up here. Okay, here we are looking back. Here's that double single track that comes out where it's doubling again. And here's the track going back that brings the coal up to the power station. Sidestep. What you had in the period up to about 1940 was power companies had franchise, as they do today, say just to service Kenton County. So they only built a power plant to service Kenton County to serve the people who use power 24 hours a day. They did not like to serve industries because industries were customers who used power and didn't use power. They shut down on Sunday or they would go on strike and that. They wanted to use their power plant to maximum strength. So that's why you have all these small power plants all over, along all these industries had their own power plants generating electricity, which sounds stupid. World War II comes along and you get this move to build plants, the government is all over the place, and they want electricity. And that's when you get the national grid that we know today, where if I still call it Cincinnati Gas and Electric or Union Heat and Power. I'm sorry. I know it's Duke. And I know Beck Jordan doesn't exist anymore. They're tearing it down. But anyway, Beck Jordan has some excess power. So it sells it to Kentucky Utility, who sells some excess power to West Virginia. You could do that today. You couldn't do that in those days. So that's why you got all these little power plants that all of a sudden disappear after World War II because we got the interconnected grid. Okay, side story. Another view of the top house. We are looking from in as we come up the hill. We're looking in as we would be going down the hill. This is the control station here. This is our smokestack for our power station there. A view from inside the Incline house looking out. Notice we got guards up here to hold the trolley poles in on the wires. You would generally see these where streetcars cross railroad tracks. And this are the steps up to the control tower. We've turned around and we're looking back out. Here's our control tower. Here's our incline. Whoa, wait a minute. There's no gate here. Hey, people back in those days were smart. We didn't fall off the thing. You didn't have to put safety barriers and everything in there. We knew if you fell off, you were going to get killed. So we were smart, not like people today where they got to have safety barriers. A view looking out, once again, you can see where the two tracks come together and then they will split here. And here's the streetcar waiting to come in. We got our streetcar going out. We have gone out a little bit farther. This is the track joining together, our track going back, and our double wires up above. We've gone out and now turned around and looking back to the head house. Our double track here, and they're going to join up here. There is the picture of the powerhouse. This is the interior of it. Here's your cables coming up, going here, and then around the drum here. This is your brake cable for controlling the brakes. This is your drums. And no, I don't understand how it all operates. But hey, no OSHA around. Look at this. He's standing right here. These are your brake drums here controlling the cables. Here we're outside. These are the guides bringing the cables in. I should have had this first before the brake drums. I will have to change that for the next presentation. And yeah, and here are your drums holding the cables. So I got these slightly backwards. This is our control station. Here's the guy who's controlling the speed of the cables, working the brakes. This is a view of him in there working the Armstrong levers. They were called Armstrong levers because you had to have strong arms to work the levers. You got your catch here, you squeeze in on the catch, which relieves the ratchet down here. You can then move it, oops, move this, you release this and it locks it back in place. Last year of operation, the city of Cincinnati did not like streetcars. City of Cincinnati got rid of them, as did Northern Kentucky. And we got a stupid bus on them. The buses only ran on the thing for about 6 months. And then they just began to run them up the hill. They did move cars up and down on it for a while. This is why the incline was closed. You can see the pillar is leaning. In 1947, the incline lost $50,000. It was going to cost $150,000 repair. The Cincinnati Street Railway is still an independent company. It has not been bought by the city of Cincinnati. Cincinnati Metro now. And the city said, take it down. Buses are better than streetcars. Who wants stupid streetcars? Could you imagine what a tourist attraction the city of Cincinnati would have, that if you went to Fountain Square, if they'd kept the real Fountain Square, or the government square, you got on the streetcar, went down. Oh, well, let's talk about that in a second. Here it was rebuilt, 19 hours a day, safety factor 4-to-1, 815 tons per year to keep it going. Pedestrians 5 cents, cars 25, 7-ton truck 95 cents. So, and 6 trips per hour, and it took 2 minutes and 20 seconds to make the trip. I can just remember going up and down that thing. Amazing. So let's take a ride. Aha, we've been very fortunate. We've got an all-day pass for December the 1st, 1940. Gee whiz, guys, this is 11 days before I was born. My parents went out and did this. I don't know. We are coming from here out of Fountain Square, down through Government Square, down here, and out. View back into Fountain Square. Albee Theater is what it was here. Oh, for those of you who are not old enough, there was a record shop over here. And this is where you went to meet the girls. And you could actually pick up the 45 record or the 33 1/3 record, take it into little sound rooms and listen to the record before you bought it. Yeah, you didn't really buy it, but it was a neat way to meet some girls and go in and sit in the booth and giggle as you listen to the record. The post office here, which has now been rebuilt. This was the Glen Hotel. I don't know, it was a hotel. Went to some dances there. Same postcard, it's just nighttime. The German artists have turned it to night. Back into Government Square, we're going in our streetcar, we're going out. Whoops, we still quite haven't left Government Square. Here's our route up, over, up here, across here, up here to the zoo. So the private right away through here, back here, down here, over here, down here, and down here. Here we are. Is there still rainbow bread? I don't know. Oh, wait, it's Wallpaper and Paint Company. Okay, didn't read that. Dolly Madison Cakes, Valvoline Oil, Immaculate Conception Church. Can't remember my mind just shut down on me. Holy Cross Monastery. And there we are. We've gotten out the incline. We're going up the incline. We are out on the platform looking down. We have now moved to the front of the platform and looking up. We are at the top of the hill. We're leaving. This is one of the PC cars, President Conference cars. In the late 1930s, the Streetcar Association designed streetcars, and you'll see them. San Francisco still runs some of these. Philadelphia's got a few. These became the standard post-war streetcars. They were all a slightly different design, but they were lightweight cars with a slight curve into them, one-man operation, air conditioned in certain places. They were the cream de creams. And these were the streetcars that ran in Cincinnati. Of course, the Green Line were still running 1890 streetcars, and the Green Line never got anything modern. They were still using handbrakes when I was a kid. Well, beside the point. And we're going to assume that this is some sort of charter for some rail fans. Holy Cross Monastery, now a retirement home up there, or condos. This is what all you guys came up to. I know some of you went over to the church, but most of you went here to get yourself a good beer and a brat. Or maybe you got some ghetto with an egg on it. Yeah, I can see you guys in here. Yeah, see, it's a family gathering. Hey, look at the little girl there. She's going to get her sip of beer. Have you ever seen that drawing that all the people are against drinking, that shows the drunken people laying there, the woman in drunk laying on the step with a bottle of gin laying alongside her, a baby falling off her lap? Did you know that's part of a beer ad? And they only show the one side of it. The other side is a picture like this, and the thing says, don't drink beer, don't drink gin, drink beer. Be happy and healthy. Okay, beside the point. Immaculate Conception, you guys are all aware of Good Friday, of going up the steps, praying the rosary. Rookwood Pottery, restaurant and I think apartments there now. Don't hold me to that. I can remember going in there as a kid and my mom buying some pottery there. We're going now across the bridge over to Eden Park and the Art Museum. Another view of the bridge. Notice the guardrails here. That's what those are, guardrails. The Art Museum in the background. A view of the Art Museum. You can barely see a streetcar there. Streetcar there at the Art Museum. Grandma would take me here. She and her two sisters would go off and eat, and I was turned loose as a 5- and 6-year-old in here. Grandma would have been thrown in jail today. And I would take off and wander this place. They had a great exhibit of medieval armor. They had a great Egyptian and Greek room here. They had a room up here that was a Spanish church room. They had a room down here that was a old Cincinnati house. I love this place. I still go to the museum every once in a while, except they destroyed it. They brought in some new curator who screwed the whole place up and modernized it and everything. The armor's gone, this is gone, that's gone. But I still go up there once in a while and wander through. Thanks to Grandma for just taking me up there and turning me loose. Oh, and the coin collection is gone, which I used to love to look at. Okay. I forget who drew this. He did a number of drawings of Cincinnati and Green Line streetcar scenes. This was a postcard that Earl Clark sent me. I don't know if you knew Earl Clark. He was a musician, streetcar fanatic, played the trumpet at the Beverly Hills and the Flamingo Club and the Stork Club and a couple other places. This was the entrance to Eden Park. They tore this down. The city did not want to spend any money to repair this. Think of this, people. You're coming out of Fountain Square. You're coming up the incline. You're coming across to Mount Adams. You're going past the Art Museum. You're now going across this at the top of entrance to Eden Park. Good Lord. Uh-oh. Is that George Remus out there with a gun? Is he shooting at somebody? Okay. Sideline. I assume you people all know George Remus in the story. If not, ask your neighbors. 49 car, we're out farther towards Norwood and that, swinging for the zoo. A view out through the front of the car. 49 car coming at us. This, I forget what the name of these were. These were designed, these were safety islands. The streetcar ran in the center of the street. So if you were going to get in the streetcar, you came out here and you stood. So to ensure that the car coming down the road did not hit you, the car would go up here and be flipped over on its side. I still think you might have been a little worried here, but that was the concept of these things. I could remember some of these out in the Eden Park area and out towards Oakley. As far as I know, there's none left in the Cincinnati area. They were all taken out. Another deal of a 49 car. These were payee cars. Pay as you enter. So you paid as you got on and you exit from the rear door. So you paid your fare to the motorman here. We're at the zoo. We made it to the zoo. And there we were at the zoo. How many of you guys and gals ever went to Homerama at the Cincinnati Zoo? Once a year, they would have an outdoor display, and everybody who had something for the home would set up in the zoo there. This would be then well, at least the Catholic schools would come out here for a day. And the Catholic schools also had a day at Coney Island. At least the Campbell County, well, I guess Covington Diocese did. Monkey's Island, which was my favorite place to go and look at the zoo. What is left of the Mount Adams Incline? Okay, we're up at the top looking down, and you can see some of the pillars here. We're at the bottom looking up. You can see the pillars here. And another view of the pillars going up. Of course, that's the big condo house up there. But there is a parking lot here between here and the Rookwood, and you can pull back in there, walk up, and look down at this. And this, I stole it off the internet. Like I said, Rookwood, this, you can pull back in the parking lot here, walk over and see what's left of the incline going down the hill. Mount Auburn Incline. Coming up here. This is Sycamore coming up here. This is Dorsey here. This is Mulberry here. And my grandmother, Bogart, lived up here on Dorsey, and then she moved down here in Mulberry. She lived in a 3-story walk-up tenement. She lived on the 3rd floor. She had 2 rooms. Her neighbors had 2 rooms, and they shared the bath in the hallway. And I want you to know everything up there was spotless. You're going to get bored of me saying they were good German Americans who took care of their neighborhood up there. Okay, beat me up. Here is the view at the bottom of the hill of the incline plane going up. Notice at this time, they do not take streetcars up. These are enclosed boxes on here. So you get off the streetcar, walk in, get on the box on the plane, go up, and then get on the streetcar at the top of the hill. Later, they do put streetcars on the thing. And another view of the streetcar going up. This was gone when I was a kid. And when I was visiting Grandma, I was just allowed to wander around. I would come down here to this area, and I collected fossils. The Cincinnati hillside was just loaded with little stone fish bones. Mom threw that whole collection out umpteen years ago when I went in the Navy. Once again, this is another view. I don't have these in order. I should have. Once again, you can see this is a box on the the inclined plane and not a streetcar. And once again, it's a box coming up the top of the hill. The lookout house up here. A view of the lookout house. Inclined plane there. A view from downtown at the lookout house with the inclined plane. Notice how bare the hillsides are. We're from the Miami Canal looking up. Another view from the Miami Canal looking up. Of course, this is the over the Rhine area. Okay, when they were using the boxes to take people up, this was what was up the top of the hill. My mind just shut down. I'm sorry. This is a dummy locomotive, they were called. They covered them like this so that in theory this would not scare horses. But this is a steam locomotive in here with its boiler, which would pull the cars out to the zoo. They quickly switched to actually bringing streetcars up there. Back down to Fountain Square. This is the Mount Auburn Main Street to the zoo. You can see this. Post Office, Fountain Square. Cartridge, Elmwood in St. Bernard it runs to. And this is what's left of it. You go up there now, go up Sycamore, cut across Dorchester. As you get almost to the top of the hill, you got to make a very sharp left. And there's a park over there. This is where the incline came up. It's a staircase now. This is the view. Okay, I'm going to beat you tree huggers up. You understand the concept of a viewing point is supposed to be to look out and see something. And for some reason, you people are going to beat me up. You people don't want the trees cut back. So how am I supposed to look out and see stuff? I've had a woman almost kill me up in Devou Park when I was trying to get a picture of a train coming over the bridge. And I broke the stem of some weeds and I was destroying nature. And I said, woman, there are needs. This is a scenic overlook. Understand the concept? Nope, she didn't understand the concept. Anyway, I'm editorializing, which I shouldn't do. Okay, the Bellevue Incline. A view of the Bellevue Incline. And here it is going up the hillside. That's Clifton Avenue. I'm just trying to remember. Clifton Avenue coming up here. There's the Bellevue House at the top of the hill. There is the incline. I'll go back. You notice this is colored and this one isn't colored. At the bottom of the hill, as you can see, once again, when they first started to operate it, they did not carry streetcars up. You got off of it and you got on a box that rode up the incline. Another view with the Bellevue House up there. The Bellevue House, as you can tell, was the biggest and best of the ones, at least in my opinion. Another view. By the way, this is the University of Cincinnati Medical School back here. Bellevue Incline Plane. It's now owned by the Cincinnati Street Railway Company, who have bought it. And when they bought it, they put in the plane to take the streetcars up. I tried to blow it up. It didn't blow up too good. A view down on the plane. Side view. Notice they look like they got an automobile they're bringing down with them. Another view. Some postcards are good. Some postcards aren't too good. You live with what you can get. That, of course, is Clifton there. This still stands. as you go up Clifton. We'll talk about that in a minute. Another view. Another view. Farmer with his wagon. The Cincinnati Medical Center. All kind of stories about what the students would do. Most probably all urban legends. And if you were too cheap, you could walk up the steps. Steps here. Another view, two of them. And we do have a Coca-Cola sign. And notice all the smokestacks here, smokestacks over here. And yes, we got a lot of churches sticking up. I guess I'm trying to remember if that was Hudapour or Christian Molen over here. I guess that was Christian Molen over there. When I was a kid, there was Red Top, Shanling, Burger, Hudapour in Cincinnati, Bavarian in Covington, and Wiedemann in Newport. Another view. Once again, you can see we have a horse and wagon in back. Motor cars are really what's going to really kill these things, because all these things are big enough to take horses and wagons up, so they don't have to fight the hill. Another view of the lookout house. And another view. And this is early on, because what we don't have is a horse-drawn streetcar here. A drawing of the Bellevue House. Once again, its own power plant up here to operate this and provide power to the lookout house. Cincinnati Medical School there. We are up at the top. Notice the ladies and gentlemen up here looking over the city of Cincinnati with all its good churches. Yeah, I always found it amazing being a Catholic with Newport, Kentucky. Oh, Covington had the same thing. You would have churches, Catholic churches, almost across the street from each other. Bellevue had two Catholic churches directly across. That's because the German, Irish, and Italians would not go to the same church. Each had their own little church to go to. When I was a kid, there was churches that still did their Sunday church services, not the Latin part, but the sermons and everything in German or Italian, or an Irish brogue. Bellevue Plain at the bottom of the hill. Remember I talked about the footer? This still stands here going up Clifton, and they have a historical sign on it, Bellevue Incline Plain. If you go up there, you got to park on the sidewalk to walk down and look at it. There's no parking on the street, so it's sort of weird. I guess it's for people walking up the hill. You get to the top of the hill, you got to cut across a couple streets, which will get you back here. I can't remember the street you cut back to get back here. It'll pop back in my little brain later, and I'll tell you maybe what went back in there. But anyway, this is the view. It's a terrific view from up here. This is where the Bellevue House was. That's the new, I'll call it football, being a soccer guy, but that's the new soccer stadium going in. Downtown Cincinnati over here. Price Hill over here, and Covington over there. The Fairview Incline. This was built by the city of Cincinnati's transit company. And here it is going up the hillside. UC complex back in there. A view of the Fairview in this was the shortest lived of any one of them. The top house, the head house. A view from the bottom. another view thereof. You notice there is a footpath going up the hill. We are again at the bottom of the hill. This is one of the summer cars. They only ran them in summertime. And the poor conductor here had to collect fares, walk this board here, and we go around the other side to collect fares. It was an extremely dangerous job, as you can figure. And, you know, and I don't care if it was a thunderstorm and, it was raining buckets and that. He was out here collecting fares. Another view thereof. And this is it today. You go back into Fairview Park. Drive back McMilken. I'm not getting it out. McMilken, I'm still not getting it out. Avenue. Drive back in the sign that marks Fairview Park, and you'll come back to the staircase and you can look down to it. This is where you entered the thing. This is only halfway up the hill. Turn and look the other way, and you can still see there's one of the supports, and there's another support here going up the hill. You get up on Fairview Avenue and you drive back here, and then you can look down. By the way, this sign here says no fishing. A view from up there, looking down at Queens Gate, this being the CSX container yard. This is over here, the Price Hill Incline, which is where we're going to be going next. Price Hill Incline always remained private, was never owned by the streetcar company. It was a double plane. This plane was taken for horse and wagons up. This was for taking the streetcars and that up, or actually taking people up, I should say. There is a stock certificate. Here is a view of it. This is the Price Hill house up here. Notice a huge garden up there. I mean, this was a place to take the family for the day. There was entertainment here. The circus would come up here, not the big circus, but you know that. Vaudeville, outdoor concert, you name it. It was all up here to entertain people, to come up and out of the smoky hill and come up here and spend your Sunday until the good people of Ohio passed their blue law and shut everything down on Sunday because you were going to church. Hey, we were all good German Catholics and Reformed evangelicals. We went to church in the morning and then came up here in the afternoon. I wish I could remember the beer garden over on top of the hill in Newport, up the top of Spaghetti Mountain. Tomorrow morning it'll pop in my head. Okay, this was for bringing the wagons up, and this was for the passengers. A view from the bottom looking up. Another view from the bottom. This is the end of 8th Street. The wires are now going in. This is early on with horse-drawn wagon, streetcar coming out, horse car. Here's all your wagons lining up to go up to the top of the hill. A view from the bottom of 8th Street looking down at the incline. Another view of it. A close up. You can see these are the boxes on the this. If you go to Pittsburgh and ride the Pittsburgh inclines, which are still in, it's the same thing. Or you go to Dubuque, Iowa, same thing. These, of course, are bringing the wagons up and down the hill. Looking out 8th Street over the rail yard down here. your incline back here. Do not ask me why the railroad calls this Oklahoma down here. Nobody's ever been able to figure out why this in the railroad is called Oklahoma. Okay. Price Hill Incline, your charges for going up the hill. Another view. And by this time, due to trucks being in place, they've taken out this side of the incline, and they've only got the passenger side in. They did have it, one day. This is the wagon side. And I never really understood this. The wagon was loaded with horse manure. And the driver hopped in the horse manure and rode to the thing down when it was crashed. And he said he was saved because he was sitting in the horse manure. Okay. That's all what the paper says. I'm just reporting what the paper says. This is the last day of operation. And this is a couple days after the last day. And you can see the weeds growing up. But this is a picture of what you went up the hill on. Private operation. This is, I can vaguely remember seeing this. It's all overgrown now, and you really can't see any of these foundations there. But you come out A Street, and you can basically look up and see where it was. Some of your tickets, notice your prices, farmers, school kids, half price for kids, workman's communication ticket, freight plane tickets, 100 bushels of coal ticket, heavy wagon, 1 ton of coal. Okay. I shouldn't tell you you guys over in the northern Kentucky side of the river about this. So don't tell the people in Cincinnati I'm going to show you this. We are up the top of the hill. This is where the incline came up. This is where the Price Hill Incline house was, this whole area here. But when they have put in an incline house back in here, a public house. If you're not of strong heart in that, if you're in poor health, don't do this. But if you want to, come on up in here. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, out here in the park, they do have this little historical marker about the thing, the incline house. We've stepped into the incline house. Now we are back in here. Once again, if you're a weak heart, just stop here and don't go any farther. Stay back here. Don't go out here. Now, why am I telling you not to go out here? Okay, you got to be a rail fan. This is what you're looking at. This is the Norfolk Southern. I'll stop us and go back on this. CSX line here. Norfolk Southern line. This is really the Cincinnati Southern Railroad, owned by the city of Cincinnati, leased to the Cincinnati, New Orleans, and Texas Pacific Railway, who has granted running rights to Norfolk Southern to come across the bridge. So that railroad that goes through Kenton County at Ludlow is the Cincinnati Southern, leased to the Cincinnati, New Orleans, and Texas Pacific, who allows Norfolk Southern to run over it. Okay. And of course, this is the old C&O line operated by CSX. Another view, here's this former C&O CSX line going down here, going across. This is the Cincinnati Southern, Cincinnati New Orleans, C&O and TP, Norfolk Southern. This is the former New York Central, Baltimore, Ohio line down here, now operated by the Indiana and Ohio. Notice this pier here. We'll come back to it. This was a swing bridge at one time. I'll show you another picture of that and you see it. So this is up here sitting outside. Before we look straight ahead, now we've turned to the right to look. Now we've turned to the left. This is Norfolk Southern. Actually, it's Cincinnati, New Orleans, and Texas Pacific Guest Street Yard. This is Union Terminal back here. This is Tower A, from which they used to control all the switches when the passenger trains came in. This is where the Cincinnati Railroad Club used to be located. Until we were moved out for remodeling, we were going to move back in, and they wanted to charge us $2,100 a month to relocate back in here, with their right to raise the rent any month they wanted to, due to whatever they considered necessary. And oh, by the way, sign a 5-year contract. We are not there anymore. We would have loved to go on back in there. And by the way, over here is Queengate, CSX Queensgate Yard. We are back here, and if you're in the towboats, then you can sit up here and watch the towboats go under. This gives you a better view of that pier here. If you drive to Ludlow and drive down there, you can see how this no longer connected, but how this was the swing bridge, and this was the main river channel here, coming through here. Of course, this is the I-75 bridge with the C&O bridge in the background. Oh. Go back here one more second. And Devou Park up here, Mother God Church, in case you don't know, in the tar. And thanks to the Cincinnati Railroad Club, Cincinnati Rail Buffs, Cincinnati Transit Historical Society, Cincinnati National Railroad Historical Society, and Cincinnati National Model Railroad Association for helping me pull all these pictures together. And that's sort of the end of my presentation. If you want to beat me up for where I went wrong or ask me any questions, we can do that, providing I can figure out how to get my picture up here.
Well, Charles, we really appreciate your talking to us at such a detailed and interesting length, and we certainly, I am amazed at the collection of photographs, postcards, etc., that you've been able to show us. We do have a few minutes if somebody would like to pose any questions to Charles about his subject today. I guess, Joe, you want to unmute everybody?
Yeah, I can do that. I have a question here from Jan Lester on the chat from earlier. She said, how did you get so interested in railways and public transportation, Charles?
Oh, okay. You got to go back when I was a kid. I grew up on Oak Street in Newport. You got to go to Oak Street. From Oak Street, you can look over and see the C&O track, and I could see the Fort Thomas streetcar running out to Fort Thomas along 10th Street in Newport. I went to school at St. Stephen's on Saratoga Street when the L&N and the Pennsy still ran on Saratoga Street. I know it was Louisville-Nashville track, but Pennsy, and if we went anywhere, we did not have a car till 1948 or 49 when we got a Kaiser. You don't remember a Kaiser. So everywhere we went was by transportation, which was the number 11 streetcar. We would once a month go to Cincinnati to visit my grandma Bogart, which meant taking the streetcar to Dixie Terminal, going up to Fountain Square, catching the streetcar to go up to the top of Mount Auburn, and then walk down Sycamore to get on Dorsey to visit her. So my childhood was spent riding public transportation. And when we go to visit my relatives in Batesville, Indiana, it was go to Cincinnati Union Terminal and take the New York Central to that. So I did not grow up having a car, our family having a car. We grew up using public transportation. So that was my hook into it. And even when we got a car, our car was just used basically for Sunday outings. We used public transportation basically up through high school. I didn't have a car. I don't want to say we were poor, but we did not have money, and we just used public transportation. So that was my thing. Okay.
Anybody have any other questions? Well, again, Charles, thank you very much for your presentation. I enjoyed it. I'm sure everybody else did. Everybody, Again, if you're not a member, think about joining the Kenton County Historical Society. And next time we have a program, lined up, we will let you know.
We might have a couple more questions here. Daniel and Thomas, I think, have a question. Thomas, what was your question?
I'd like to know if there was standardization as far as the width of the rails and so forth from one incline to the other.
The Price Hill incline, of course, since you never ran any streetcars up there, was not standardized, but they quickly standardized the Cincinnati system, which was 5 feet, 2.5 inches, I believe, if I remember correctly. Which was slightly different from the green line. By the way, I forgot to mention, there should have been a incline in Covington, Kentucky. They got a charter to do it, and I don't know exactly where it was supposed to go up, but it was supposed to go up the hill to where DeVue Park is now, because it was supposed to serve Park Hills. But nothing ever happened to it. I forgot to mention that. So you guys could have had a incline. And if anybody really wants to research it and find out what happened, I've just seen what was in the down here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, where they issued the charter to do it and the vague description about where they were going to put it. Okay, our other question.
Yeah, I've been to the area, hi Joyce, where on Mount Adams and also to the Incline House in Price Hill. The views from up there are still spectacular even today. And I would like to get your comments about people going up there before television and movies to just enjoy the view.
Yeah, that was, what I remember is, of course, they weren't on that side of the river. There was a beer garden in the top, I'm going to call it a beer garden, on the top of the hill, Spaghetti Hill in Newport.
Yes.
Up above the wagon bridge.
Yeah.
I still call it the wagon bridge.
Yeah, I remember.
And I remember going up there and drinking, and the views, it sounds terrible. It was a family outing in which beer was served, and you ate brats and wieners and schnitzels and stuff like that. It was just a community, and everybody gathered and got together. The Hofbrau House in Newport has a little bit of what it used to be like, except they aren't large neighborhood gatherings. And if I may have said this before, when I was in the 3rd grade in Newport, the saloon at the corner of 8th and Washington got a television.
Yes.
And that was where my 3rd class went. We went in there and we sat down the saloon at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And from 3 to 4, I don't know what we watched, but we watched something in there, a soap opera or something. So it was all family stuff up through the mid-50s when, in my opinion, television came and air conditioning came and people no longer went out and socialized. They stay in their little house cocoon, and that whole thing was lost. And then we had that change in population. This is a personal opinion. You guys can disagree with me, where the people who lived in Newport and Covington Newport moved to Fort Thomas, Southgate, and Highland Heights. And the people in Covington moved to Fort Mitchell, Fort Wright, Erlanger, and that. And you had a total different population that moved in, and thus you see all the Catholic churches, the German Reformed churches, and that closing down. And once again, I apologize if I'm hurting some. And you have the Protestant Baptist type churches coming in. I'm terrible what I'm saying. Upper class people moving out on lower class people coming in the neighborhood who had different values on the drinking establishments and that. And I understand this. I'm sorry, I'm going to go a little bit long. I worked up in Eastern Kentucky, and I quickly found out that the people in Eastern Kentucky did not drink to socialize. They drank to get drunk,
Yeah.
which was a totally different thing from
Yeah.
the Northern Kentucky thing that I grew up with. Was you had a beer, you drank a beer for an hour, ate some pretzels and that, and moved. Okay. So I don't know if I answered your question or not. You just had to be around in the Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area in the 40s, the first half of the 50s, to this total German, Irish, Italian. I'm saying Catholic, but there was the Lutherans and the Reformed Baptists, and even what I'm going to call the Episcopalians and the Presbyterians joining in this thing, and then they moved to Top Hill. Okay. But you can see that in some of the old churches in the downtown Covington and Newport and Bellevue, Ludlow area. What magnificent churches you have with down there worth preserving.
Well, okay. I think we need to close it down, folks. Thanks for attending. Thanks again, Charles, for your excellent presentation. And everybody stay safe. Goodbye.
See you all.